Welcome to Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, the site of the 2015 NBA Draft. Dan Gladman along with Leo Rautins. And Leo, the draft has come a long way since you were drafted in 1983. Can you talk about that night, what it was like for you when you were drafted?
Well, actually, I didn't want to come to New York for the draft. I figured I'm not going to. I've watched plenty of guys when they don't get called. I didn't want to be sitting there waiting just in case. But I stayed at home and just waited for the call. I tell you what, it's the biggest night of your life. You spend your whole career working, trying to get to that position, and then the day finally comes. There's a lot of anxiety, nerves, and the one thing I remember when it finally was over and I got the phone call and the whole thing, I wanted to sleep. I was so exhausted that I just wanted to crash.
You were the first Canadian ever to be drafted in the first round, and now that's a commonplace item. And this year we're expecting to see Trey Lyles probably go in the first round. What has changed in these last 5 years, 10 years that we're seeing so many Canadians being drafted so high?
Well, it's the NBA. The NBA being Canada has changed everything. And if you think about it, look at the position we're in. This year, there's only one potential lottery pick, and everybody's going, oh, kind of a down year. Come on! That's how great it is that we've entered this cycle now where every year the expectation is you're going to have players. And, it's been cyclical before. Back in my years, we had Billy Wennington, Stuart Granger, we had first-round picks, Rick Fox. But then you have a lull. Then you get a Steve Nash, a Todd McCall, then there's a lull. There's not going to be any more lulls because these kids today grew up watching the NBA. Because they watch the NBA, they're all playing, they're getting the coaching, all the national programs involve all the young kids. So the focus is there, the athletes are there, the desire is there, and now the excitement is there because every kid believes they can do it because enough Canadians are doing it.
Now let's get into what people really like hearing you talk about, the Raptors. They have the 20th pick this year. What are they looking for? What can help them the most? And what kind of player might be available for them in that slot?
Well, this is a deep draft, so there are going to be some good players available to the Raptors. What do they need? They need a two-way player. That's critical. We saw all the problems with the team that really didn't just start last year, started towards the end of the season before. Prior to the playoffs, they tapered off defensively, and last year they really struggled at times defensively. So I think what Dwayne Casey and Masai Ujiri want to see are two-way players, especially at the wing positions that are tough, physical, they can get into you. So it's really important they find as close to two-way players as they can. You're not always going to get that, but you want to be as close as you can. And so when I look at this draft, I see, say, a player like Montrezl Harrell out of Louisville, 6'8", high-energy guy, and a lot of people compare him to, say, a Kenneth Faried. The difference is Faried has a big price tag, and Harrell is a better offensive player. So you want to look at a player like that. You have a player like Justin Anderson out of Virginia, a three-point shooter, but can also defend. He's more of a small forward, big guard type, but again, a player that can play both ends of the floor. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson is more of a defensive player, lacks the offense, so you might want to question that, but he is a stopper at the defensive end. So just naming a few guys like that, you realize there are some pretty good choices out there, and you always have to keep in mind that at number 20, you don't need a savior. You're not going to have a guy that's likely going to play heavy minutes. You want somebody that can contribute a little bit here and there and grow with your team.
Thank you very much, Leo, for all your time and expertise. You can catch the draft tonight on TSN2. You'll hear more from Leo throughout the show. TSN2 and NBA TV Canada.